Today we're looking at foundational principles found in the book Cornerstones and Core Needs of Growing Kids. As Cheryl and I have been traveling around, we've been missionaries for a lot of years, and as we've been traveling around talking to different groups of people about what we have done with kids, and we talked about life is full of choices, afterwards people would come up to us. How can we get more information? How can we find out more about this? How can I use this with my kids? And so we wrote this book in order to help people understand what we have done, what works with kids. And so the foundational principles that we're going to talk about first are core needs of kids. When you read, you begin with A, B, C. When you sing, you begin with Do, Re, Mi. And when you work with kids, if you want to have an impact on kids' lives, you start with their 4 core needs. And those core needs are affection, boundaries, consistency, and discipline. Those are ingrained into them from birth. And those needs are so important to them in their lives that they will do whatever it takes to meet those 4 core needs. Kids are joining gangs to get those needs met because they're not met at home and they're not met at school. The 4 core needs, affection, boundaries, consistency, and discipline, start with the letters A, B, C, and D. So it helps us remember them. Let's look at definitions for a minute. Affection is defined as anything we do to make a child feel good about himself or herself. The important section of this definition is what we do. If we do it, it's affection. If a child does it, if a child does something to make himself or herself feel good, that is the beginning of self-medication. Self-medication leads to addiction. Affection is different than attention. Attention is a want. Affection is a need. I will make do with attention, but what I really want is affection. Attention is what I get for what I do. Affection is what I get for who I am. And attention is imitation affection. The second core need, boundaries, is defined as the pre-arranged limits that are placed on behavior. The important section of this definition is that these limits are pre-arranged. Keys for understanding boundaries are: kids operate better within known boundaries. Kids are free to explore within known boundaries. Kids learn to trust us because of known boundaries. And boundaries produce freedom. Now, this is oftentimes hard for us to understand as abstract thinkers, but kids are concrete. And when a boundary is placed, their attention is focused within the boundary. And that opens up a whole world of freedom for them. When a boundary is placed on an abstract thinker like you and me, we tend to look beyond the wall and see where the grass is greener. Kids focus within the boundary. C stands for consistency, and the definition of consistency is doing what you said you would do. By saying you will do something, you are seen as promising that. You're entering a contract with a child. And so they judge your consistency by your actions. Not by what you want to do or what you think you might do, but by your actions. And so the key points of understanding consistency is trust is built on consistency. Without consistency, we have chaos. Boundaries without consequences are suggestions. And consistency is the key to maturity. Without consistency, kids are not growing into adults. They're just getting older. And finally, the fourth core need, D, stands for discipline. Discipline is defined as the actions that are taken to instill in a child the understanding of right or wrong in order to shape their character so they learn how to make healthy choices. The important part of that definition is found in the word character. If our discipline is not building character within a child, it's not discipline. It's revenge or retribution or something else. But as long as we are building character, we are disciplining a child. The keys to understanding discipline are these. Discipline is never about violence. Discipline is also not about loudness, bigness, or oldness. Discipline and affection are felt as two sides of the same coin. And without effective consequences, discipline is not a serious matter. Now, of these four core needs, the most important of them is our consistency. As we look at these four core needs of kids, I think it's good for us to envision them as accounts. Bank accounts, piggy banks in this case. And the one that you're looking at right now is A, affection. But each of these four core needs has its own separate account. And within the child, these accounts operate independently. One can go up and the other's down, and another one can go down and the others stay the same. They are not connected into one tank. And so it is good to envision the children that we're interacting with as a collection of these four core needs within each child. Once you understand kids' four core needs and are meeting those four core needs on a regular basis, they can move beyond me and mine to see the world around them. And as they do that, a whole new world comes into perspective for them. You can take advantage of this shift in their perspective by using the three cornerstones of Life is Full of Choices. The first cornerstone is this: life is full of choices, and the choices I make today will determine the qualities of my life, both now and in the future. This cornerstone provides empowerment. The most important word is I and mine. These are my choices about my life and the qualities that I want in it. The second cornerstone goes like this: life is full of choices, and the choices I make today can affect the circumstances of my life and other people's lives, both now and in the future. This cornerstone talks to our responsibility for those around us. It doesn't give us control over them, but it talks about our responsibility for interacting with them, because no man is an island. And the third cornerstone says, life is full of choices, and even though I've not chosen all the circumstances of my life, I alone determine its qualities, because life is full of choices, and the choices I make today will determine the qualities of my life, both now and in the future. This cornerstone will provide our kids freedom from the hurts of life that we so often experience as we are growing up. As we look at the first two cornerstones, we can see that they are quite similar. We designed them that way to make them easy for the kids to understand. But there are some key differences that we need to look at. Some different words will determine in cornerstone number 1 and can affect in cornerstone number 2. But the power that kids have is in their own life and the choices that they make. The second difference is in the word quality versus circumstances. This shows them what is most important in life. I can choose the qualities, but I can only affect my circumstances. The third area of difference that we want to look at between the first two cornerstones is in the first cornerstone, we're talking about my life. In the second cornerstone, we're talking about my life and other people's lives. My power is in the first cornerstone to determine my life. I can affect my life and other people's lives in the second cornerstone. But it's only in the first cornerstone that I really have power. So, cornerstone number 3 is a different format because it starts off allowing people the choice to see that their past was not totally controlled by them, but the choices they make now and into the future are controlled by them. And it ends up right where we started with life is full of choices, and the choices I make today will determine the qualities of my life, both now and in the future. For more information, you can get the book, Cornerstones and Core Needs of Growing Kids, at our website, lifeisfullofchoices.com. And you can email me at pj@lifoc.org.